Welcome to the Heavenly Treasury broadcast where we help believers achieve God's financial abundance for your life. Today we're going to talk about a very brand new series and one that I know you're going to be very blessed by, because I tell you what, this is one of the most important principles scattered throughout the Bible that you'll ever see in your entire life. And I promise you, this is something you very rarely will hear talked about, especially within your church, your small group, whatever you have, your ministry, when you're on the missions field, wherever it is, or even in business. All right, this applies to you too, because remember, this broadcast is really focused for people who really want to achieve all that God has for them and receive God's best for their life. And those people, especially who aren't really called to full-time ministry, that's really what I want to focus this on. But again, if you are in that realm in ministry, believe me, we have a lot for you too. But for the people who are in business, but also or some other field, maybe government, but really don't feel like a lot of the good ministers are really speaking to you, that's where this comes in as well. Again, if you are in ministry, don't change the channel. Don't stop. I promise you, you're going to get a very different perspective from people who are in business versus those who are in ministry here. So that way you can help when businessmen walk into your meetings, you can help say, okay, maybe if I know that the Spirit is telling me there's some good businessmen in here, this is how I can deliver a message. Okay, so again, don't really feel like if you're in ministry, you got to change the channel. But for this series, we're going to be talking about seed time and harvest. Okay, it's very important for you in every aspect of your life, every single one. Okay, so let me start with this. What is seed time and harvest? Now, this is not going to be a giving message today. All right, it's not. Okay, you can see on my Twitch channel, you can't even see anything where you can give to. So I want you to be blessed today, because I want for you to receive all that the Lord has for you. All right, that's my goal for this broadcast, is for you to receive all that the Lord has for you. And if you've watched this multiple times or even gone back to see other previous recordings, you'll see that I really want God's best for your life, and I want you to achieve it. Right? Because it's more than just sitting in a meeting and hearing a nice message. It's more than just reading your Bible. It's about taking concrete action steps that are biblically based to help you achieve all that you want in this life, no matter what that is. If you want more friends, if you want more money, if you want a bigger business, if you want a happier family, better kids, all of that. We're going to talk about all of that here. I promise you. All right. So today we're going to be focusing on our first section on seed time and harvest. So what specifically does that mean? All right, so let's go to the scripture, and this is going to be our main focus throughout the entire series. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do, but I'm going to be doing a lot of them. That I can promise you. So we're going to be talking about this a lot, okay? So here's the scripture that I really want to focus on. This is Genesis 8, verse 22, and this is right after God flooded the earth with the flood that Noah survived in the ark, him, his wife, and his sons and his sons' wives. All right, so here's one of the last things that God told Noah after the flood was done. Okay, it says this: as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest, there it is. As long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. So as long as the earth remains, and as it is, all right, again, not getting into end time stuff, but as for today, for believers, all right, Jesus has not come back yet. He might tomorrow, but he's not today. Therefore, we have to focus on seed time and harvest. It will not cease as long as the earth remains. Okay, so when you hear about seed time and harvest, what specifically do you think of? Because I'll remember this. The very first time I heard you reap what you sow or seed time and harvest, I had no idea what that meant. None whatsoever. I mean, the only thing I could think of was I think I was eating some strawberries or something, and I saw little seeds on the strawberry, because those are the ones where the seed is kind of on the outside for that particular fruit. At least I believe so. Bananas, when I peel the banana every single morning for my kids, the seed for the banana is at the very top of the peel. That's that sort of thing. That's really the only thing I could think of is, wow, I guess there's a seed in the fruits that I'm eating. And that's really all I could think of was, I don't really had any clue about farming. I knew nothing about all the biblical stuff. I mean, this is years and years ago, right after I got saved, and I heard a message on this. I was just so totally confused that I couldn't even hear or listen or get anything in my spirit about seed time and harvest. So in a nutshell, seed time and harvest means this. From a physical point of view, we'll get to the spiritual in a moment, but from a physical point of view, it means whenever your fruit is going to grow, or whatever vegetables are going to grow out of the ground, somebody has to take a seed. Every single fruit and every single vegetable does have a seed in it. So you can either take that seed and eat it, or you can take that seed and grow it. So what we're talking about here is take a banana for instance. All right, the seed for a banana is at the very tip of one of the ends. All right, it's a very, very tip, and it's very different than the light color of the banana as you open the peel. Okay, that's the banana seed. So you could eat that seed, or you could take that seed and put it into the ground. You could put it into the ground and then watch it grow. And that's really what seed time and harvest really is. So you put a seed into the ground this is just basic overview. You take a seed, you put it into the soil, and then of course there's got to be nutrients in the soil, there's got to be water in the soil, and then once that seed is in the ground, it will grow into a plant. And that plant will then produce, in this case bananas, more bananas. Okay? So if you plant an orange seed, you can't expect to receive a strawberry plant. If you plant a grapefruit seed, you're not going to receive a pineapple plant. You're going to receive the harvest of what you sow in. And that's really the key that I want to focus on, is that whatever you put into the soil is what's going to sprout out. All right. So, now that I've thought about this, I want to see if I can just pull up really quick a video of a seed growing, these time lapses. Okay. This is just awesome. I'm just going to pull up the very first one that I see, and then after all the ads and stuff play, I'm going to show it, because this is really, really important, because most of the people don't, if you've never watched the video on seeds that actually grow into a plant, it's awesome. There's something tantalizing mentally, especially when you're in the right spirit and the right frame of mind to receive all that the Lord has for you. Here's a great example. I haven't watched this video before. Okay? So here's what it is. All right, this is just basic seed. Okay? So you can see the seeds in the soil right there, and there the plants are starting to sprout. That's what we call a sprout. A sprout is when you can first see the growth of the seed. That's going to let you know what kind of harvest you should expect. And there's a lot more on this in the Bible when it comes to seed, because in Mark 4 it describes how a seed grows out of the ground. First the corn, then the ear, then the full corn on the ear. So right there you see a sprout. That's the first sprout from the seeds that's sown. Okay? And then as the seeds grow, you can see how big they're getting. All right? And the important thing is this. Before the plant is even fully grown, you can see what kind of plant and harvest you're going to receive. All right? And when you plant an orange seed into the ground, you know beforehand you're going to receive an orange seed. But if you're not sure what you're putting in the ground and something sprouts up, you'll be able to see at the very, very beginning if the sprout is something you should expect and is going to be something bountiful and delicious, or it's going to be something that you don't want to see at all in your life. And we're going to talk about this a little bit after this video is planned. Okay? So there you go. All right? That's just a very basic, and that was just the very first video I found. Okay, so there's a lot more when it comes to actually planting a seed into the ground and watching a full tree blossom. They have those, and you'll see a time lapse of maybe 180 days, a full year, so to speak. If some of these seeds grow into big, large, bountiful plants or trees even that are going to start actually producing the fruit. Because remember, when you saw those sprouts come out of the ground, you didn't see any fruit on them. You didn't. But you could recognize the type of plant that was coming out of the ground. That's the important thing, that you recognize the plant that is coming out of the ground. And that's seed time and harvest, all right, from a physical point of view. Now, here's what we're going to focus on throughout all the broadcasts when it comes to this. It's very, very simple. The seed time and harvest is not just about fruit. There's a lot more. All right. Every single action you take throughout your life, you're sowing some kind of seed. And if you don't like the harvest that's coming out, you have to change the seed that you're planting. And that's the important thing. The two most important things I want to focus on is this. Number one, you get the plant that comes out of the ground is the exact same as the seed you plant into the ground. Okay? So again, I keep harping on this because it's going to be very important in a few minutes why I am. Because when you sow a strawberry seed, you get a strawberry. When you sow an apple seed, you get an apple. And when you sow a Granny Smith apple seed, you're going to get a Granny Smith apple harvest. Okay? So don't expect a red delicious harvest from a Granny Smith seed. Okay? So it's not just about the whole seed that you're sowing. It's about the specific seed that you are sowing. You get the very specific seed that you sow is going to be the very specific harvest that you reap. Right? And reaping is when the plant has fully grown, there's fruit on the plant, and then the farmer comes out and reaps. All right? If you've ever seen an image of a reaper, it's one of those like circular knives that the old plants, the old farmers would just take and just start hacking away. They would hack away at the plant as it's fully grown. You can really see this if you've seen sugarcane. If you want to harvest the sugarcane, that especially in Brazil, you'll see the farmers there and the people out working the farm. They'll take one of those reapers and they'll just hack away at those sugarcane plants to harvest them all. Okay. So that's it. So that's the first key. You get whatever you plant into the ground is what you're going to reap when the plant is fully grown. And here's the thing. If you don't like the seed, the harvest that's coming out, you can easily kill it and change your seed. That's an important aspect too. So I guess that's three things. Number one, whatever you sow into the ground, you're going to see sprout up. All right. Number two, you can always kill your seed, your harvest, if you don't like what you see. Okay, so if you're not sure what you're sowing into the soil and you see something sprouting up that you don't really like, you can easily kill it and put something else into the ground. Okay, that's number two. Number three, and the most important thing is that whatever you sow into the ground, you get significantly more when it blossoms. All right, so if you sow one banana seed into the ground, you're going to reap a lot more than one banana. You are. So whatever you put into the ground, you're going to reap a lot more. All right. So just take a banana tree, for example. That was created by one banana seed. And that just continues to produce bananas after season after season after season until the tree dies. Then you take another seed and you plant it into the ground and you get another tree. And there's a lot more bananas off of that one seed than there was if you had eaten that. Okay. So every single seed that you get, you have a choice to either eat the seed or sow it and then watch the harvest bloom. And then you can pick a lot of bananas. Okay? So those are the key things when it comes to receiving a harvest, so to speak, from whatever seed you sown. Okay? So that is, in a nutshell, is the physical seed time and harvest. And again, the most important thing that when you see biblical seed time and harvest is the fact that whatever you sow into the ground, you reap. And it's not just fruits and vegetables. It's a lot more. Okay? And today we're going to talk about the very first seed time and harvest on what we sow and what we reap. And that's about encouragement. Now, you may be thinking, if you've ever seen a topic, if you've ever seen a minister talk about seed time and harvest, very, very rarely does it not include money. But today we're not going to talk about the money aspect. We will later, but there's more important things to talk about when it comes to seed time and harvest than money. Why? Because a lot of the times there are people, and I've seen them firsthand, and it pains me to death. And that's what really moved me to start doing this broadcast before my book series is published, is this. I have seen so many people sow good seed into the kingdom of God and not yet reap a blessing. Not yet reap a blessing. Okay? And that's the most important thing. All right? Hey, how are you? Good to see you here. All right? And that's what I really want to focus on. If you've been sowing seed into ministries and guess what? You haven't reaped anything yet, this is who I really want to focus on today. Because the one thing I want to focus on today is this. God does not want to bless unhappy people. He doesn't. You have to be happy in order to receive a blessing. I don't care if you take everything you own and give it to a fertile soil ministry. You are okay. If you do that, I promise you, you're not going to reap anything until you become joyful and happy. That I can promise you, okay? So what we're going to focus on today is how do we get joy and encouragement. So that's the first seed time and harvest, is joy and encouragement, okay? So what we're going to focus on today is this particular scripture, Joel 1:12. And we focused on this a lot, and we're going to continue focusing on it even more. It's this, Joel 1:12. The vine has dried up, and the fig tree droops. Pomegranate, also palm, and apple tree. Remember, all those seeds. Fig has a seed. Pomegranate has a seed. Apple has a seed, okay? All the trees of the field dried up. Why? Because the joy has dried up among the sons of men. Now remember, that fruit is also your economic garden. Your economic garden is going to dry up if you lose your joy. You lose your happiness, okay? And so what is the key to happiness? Encouragement. What is the key to joy? Encouragement. And why is that important? Because most people receive zero encouragement throughout their life. Zero. Even from the most loved ones that they talk to every single day. Every single day, they talk to their loved ones and get very, very little encouragement from any of them, right? I've literally seen marriages 20 years, 25 years, and none of them say any happy words to each other. It just pains me to death, all right? And so what we're going to talk about is how do we get that, all right? Now, here's the key to seed time and harvest. If you want more encouragement, you have to give more. If you want more encouragement, you have to give more. Because remember, if you sow the seed of encouragement to somebody, I don't care who it is, you will reap a bountiful harvest of encouragement. Watch what happens, and you watch how much happier you get each and every day when everybody who sees you is just so happy to see you. They know you're full of joy. They know you're full of encouragement. Here's how, okay? What I want to focus on now is how do we sow encouragement, all right? The most important thing is this. What is encouragement versus flattery? Because if you see a big buff guy at a gym and all of a sudden their muscles are just puffed out and he's wearing a tank top and he's doing a bench press, he's got a lot of weight on there, and you go up to him and say, wow, you're really strong. Well, duh, he knows he's really strong. That's why he's wearing the tank top, all right? Because he wants to show off his strength, right? Okay, that's not really encouragement. Why? Because he already knew he was strong. He already knew he was strong. However, if you've seen that same guy in the gym, literally every single day that you go in there, every single day, and he's sweating, he's pumping iron, he's rocking his music, he's doing those lifts, and he's got a lot of people watching him, and you tell him, wow, I'm really impressed with your discipline. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to keep on the track that you are. He probably doesn't know he has discipline. He's just doing it like clockwork. Okay? Because once you get into a motion of things you do every single day, it's like clockwork. And you just do it, seemingly sometimes without even thinking about it. All right? So that's flattery versus encouragement. We want to focus on encouragement. Why? Because honest, sincere appreciation is how we win friends. All right? If you've ever have you ever read this book right here, How to Win Friends and Influence People? All right? I think this book might be 100 years old by now. And the author is just so immaculate in how he talks and how he teaches. Okay, the very second principle in this book, what does that say? Give honest and sincere appreciation. Honest and sincere appreciation. Even that's straight from the Bible. You may not realize that, but that's straight from the Bible. You want to give encouragement because that's how you win friends. Why is encouragement and winning friends so important? Because where does money come from? People. Money comes from people. So if you encourage people, then people want to be around you. And how does that help? Because money comes from people. If you're unhappy, nobody wants to buy from you. All right? If your kid just got sick and you're selling cars and it shows on your face that my kid is sick and I don't want to be here today, how many cars are you going to sell? 0. All right, so we have to be able to sow that encouragement to be able to reap that encouragement. And that's the key. All right, whatever you want more of, you have to give first and then you'll receive, right? Because Jesus even himself tells us in Luke 6:38, give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running more shall cause men to give liberally into your bosom. That includes more than just money. It also includes encouragement. All right, because once you are an encourager, you are now a people magnet. people want to be around you because they don't get encouragement from anybody else except you. Oh my goodness. They're going to be on you like the book right here uses bees and honey. Bees and honey. All right. That's the most important thing. So why is that important? Because encouragement keeps you moving forward. It keeps you happy. It keeps you joyful. So we have to be able to sow encouragement in order to reap it. That's the key. Sow it before we reap it. So how do we specifically do that? All right. The first thing you have to do is be satisfied where you are. The Bible tells us, okay? We've talked about this so many times. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 18 is right here. In all circumstances, give thanks. This is the desire of Elohim and Messiah, God, Jesus Christ, for you. All right. Very rarely does the Bible talk about God's desire for you. All right. It talks about if you do this, then you get this a lot of the times, and the blessings that come from obedience, and we talk about that a lot here. But also it says, what is the will of God for you and your life? In all circumstances, give thanks. How does that give you encouragement? Because you have to be thankful. You have to wake up every day with a smile. You have to wake up every day and choose happiness. You have to choose happiness. All right. Every single day you have something to be thankful for. Every single day you have something to be thankful for. I don't care if you just lost your job yesterday. You have something to be thankful for today. Why? Because you woke up. That's enough to be thankful for. You have breath in your lungs to say, hey, yes, Lord, you gave me another 24 hours. I'm going to make the most of it today. I don't care what happened yesterday. Today, I'm moving forward because I know the plans and promises that you have for your life, that you have for my life. That's what's so important, okay? So the first thing you have to do is be satisfied with where you are. You have to be satisfied with where you are by giving thanks to God for everything that you have. I don't care. Again, I talk about this so much. If you spent the entire day just thanking the Lord for everything you have, you would need more than a day. You would need more than 24 hours to thank him for everything that's happened for you throughout your life. Every single miracle he's performed throughout your life. We've talked about that so much here, and we're going to continue to just harp on that every single day. Every single day we come on to this broadcast, we're going to be talking about it, okay? All right, and now here's what I want to focus on. How do we give more encouragement after we're thankful and we're truly joyful in our hearts? How do we do that? First, listening requires focus. All right, so how do we give encouragement? We have to listen first. We have to be able to listen to the other person, no matter who it is. If we want to give encouragement, we have to be able to hear them. All right, first the words that are coming into your ears. The next is to be able to process them. That means you have to take your focus off of everything else and give it to the person you're speaking to. Now, if you're married right now and your spouse is just all over the place, and you think, my spouse doesn't listen to me. He never does. Why? Because there's something in his mind keeping him from being focused on you. And if you let him speak what's on his mind, no matter what it is, now his mind is free and clear to talk to you. He will let you talk for hours. If you take the focus, if you take what's in his mind or her mind and out of their mouth, and now you can focus on them because they have nothing else in their mind but focusing on you. Okay? That's what's important. All right? So the first thing is that you have to be able to focus on the person you're listening to. Now that may seem so simple. Duh, you have to focus. Well, guess what? How many of us actually do it? How many of us actually do it? Very few. Why? Because we're always thinking about something else. We're just trying to make it through the conversation. It does take sincere effort to listen to somebody. It does. It takes honest, sincere effort to listen to somebody else. Especially if you don't like them. Especially if you have a supervisor that you just hate. If you have a client that you hate. All right, for whatever reason. And the reality is that hate can turn to love overnight. It can. It really can. All right, especially if they're doing business with you. They obviously appreciate what you've been doing. If they've been doing business with you for a while and now they just despise you. Well, guess what? Maybe they don't have encouragement. Guess what that's going to do? You sow encouragement to them, they're going to want to be more around you. What does that mean? More sales. More sales. There you go. Okay? So again, we have to be able to focus on the person we're listening to. Why is that important? Because we have to be able to figure out how to encourage people. Now, this is an art, and this is not something I can give you in 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. This is not something I can give you very, very quickly. But the way we do that is this. I start with an acronym called FORM. Okay, so every single person wants to talk about themselves in a number of different aspects. The first is their family. Even if they're living under a bus, right, and they don't have a father or a mother, and they were abandoned as a baby boy, and yet they're 20 or 25, they still have family they want to talk about because they want to discuss and have somebody interested in what they've gone through. Okay, even if that family sucks. And a lot of us just had Christmas. A lot of us just had time with family that we just absolutely despise. We do. All right. So that, again, a lot of this is on the forefront of our minds right now. Okay. So even if your family is just terrible and you just got that back done from Christmas and somebody's just venting about how much they hated Christmas because their mom voted the wrong way, or their dad doesn't like the job they took, or that, their son just hates the business that they've started, or something like that. They think it's just stupid, all right? Or they didn't get the Christmas gift they wanted. Even if that's the case, it's still family. It's still family, and they still want to talk about that. The second thing you get them to talk about is their occupation, their business. What are they involved in? If they're in ministry, if they're in government, whatever they're involved in and they do every single day, it obviously takes a lot of energy for them to do that. Guess what? They want to talk about it. All right. So again, this is all coming. We'll circle this back to encouragement. I know you're thinking, why are you going this way? Why are you going this way? Because I'm back here, and then soon I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to show you exactly how this leads to encouragement. Getting people to talk about themselves. Okay. The third is recreation. What do you like doing for fun? Of course, they like to talk about what they're doing for fun. Everybody likes fun. Who doesn't like fun? Right? Who doesn't like talking about the vacation they just got back from? Who doesn't like talking about what they're going to do with their kids for the weekend? Who doesn't like the fantastic date they're going to take that hot, sexy woman on this weekend? Who doesn't like talking about that? They all do. All right? They all do. So the way to encouragement is first focus on the listening. All right? Focus on their listening. Okay? You have to focus on listening to them and have your focus straight on them and no one else. Don't be over here. Don't be over here. When somebody's talking to you, don't think about who the Pittsburgh Steelers played this weekend. Don't do it. That's in the past. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make a hill of beans difference for what you're going to do with your life and God's calling for your life. None of that. What's going to help you is the person speaking to you right now. That's what's going to get you to where you want to go. Not some bowling alley that you just came from last night. Okay? Now, again, as important as that is, you have to let people talk about what they like to do for fun, too. Even if you hate it. You could, let's say you just hate the outdoors. You don't want to go out in the dirt. You don't want to go out in the mud. You don't want to see the scenery. You want the air conditioning, the heating, the television. You want all that comfy stuff. Well, guess what? Some people don't like that. Some people want to go outside. Some people feel like they're connected in a way they couldn't be otherwise. Some people just love watching grass grow and watching the scenery from on top of a mountain. They like that. Get them to talk about that. Get them to talk about that. And there's a reason for that, okay? And now here comes the third part, is how do we identify how to encourage them? Okay? So let's say for the moment you ask them about family and they talk about their mom and how much they love their mom, and their brother and how much they love their brother, and how they still live with them and speak to them on a regular basis, even after 40 or 50 years. Don't you think that shows some commitment? Don't you think that shows some encouragement? Don't you think that shows some empathy? All right? Because most people, when they're that old, when they get to that age, they say, I'm on this journey over here. All right? And I guess we'll just run into mom and dad whenever we feel like it. That's a very rare case when you're that old and you continue to be as involved with your parents as you would be if you were 20 or 10. Okay? That shows empathy. If you tell them, hey, wow, I'm just really impressed with how well you stay connected with your family and friends despite all the things that you guys have gone through. That's encouragement. That really is. They don't realize that. It's just second nature to them. But that is a God-given strength that they have that you point out. And if you point that out in them, what's going to come back to you? Strengths that you didn't know you had. What's that going to mean for you? More money. Okay? That's why this is so important. Do you see how we just went all the way over here? We're talking about family and occupation, and now we're back here? Wow. Hello, that's how we do it. That's how encouragement and seed time and harvest can lead you to more money. Okay, and that's what we're focusing on here. Now, it's not the only thing we focus on. We want to focus on, of course, building souls. Okay, I'm sorry, building people up in the kingdom, winning souls, winning the lost, getting them to heaven. Very, very important. But how do we do that? Resources. You have to obtain the resources before you give the resources. That's what we focus on here. Yes, I'm very well aware that the Bible tells us that he gives seed to the sower. He does. So every one of you have something you could sow financially right now. That's not the topic of this. But I want to focus on increase. Because when you increase, you can sow more seed. You can sow more financial seed into the kingdom. What does that mean? More souls, more missions going out, more churches being built, more of your influence of your God that you love and honor and care for so deeply every single day. That's what this is all about. And watch how all that I'm talking about just comes full circle into building the kingdom of God. Because what I want you to do is this. I want you to focus on your life right now. And if a non-believer saw your holistic life all around you and said, do I want this person's life? Because they're serving some God that they just love, honor, and cherish so deeply. They do. Does their life reflect that? Does their life reflect that? Okay? And part of that, yes, has to do with finances. It does. Because if you're broke and you serve a God who's El Shaddai, the God of more than enough, and you're broke, nobody wants to be around you. And nobody wants to follow the God that you just so love. Even if the God that you love is just so gracious to you, got you out of so many pits, is taking you to a great and mighty place. If your life doesn't reflect that right now, people aren't going to want to be around you. They aren't. They aren't going to want to. I'm not going to say they don't want to be around you. Let me just rephrase that. They don't want to serve the same God you do. Because your life has to be a reflection of the God that you serve. And that's one of the big reasons why I want you to live in financial abundance. You can, no matter what's going on around you. No matter what's going on around you, no matter who the president is. God doesn't care who the president is. His laws didn't say if Donald Trump wins in 2024, guess what? Your whole world's going to blow up. Or if Joe Biden wins in 2024, your whole world's going to blow up. Or if something happens, some war breaks out, it's going to be the end of you. Wrong. Okay? So the Bible's principles will work for you no matter what. Just think about in the past, even the past 100 years of America, how many famines we've been through, economic downturns we've been through, wars we fought. Yet there were still rich people. There were still believers. There were still spreading the gospel. Okay? So again, these principles work all the time. They do. So that's why we talk about these no matter what. No matter what's going on, no matter what you have or don't have, these principles will work for you. And the first thing you have to do is be able to focus when somebody else is speaking to you and give them encouragement. You have to be able to give them encouragement. That's what we're going to focus on today. All right? So again, I told you, to be able to give encouragement, the first thing you have to do is be satisfied with where you are. I didn't say content, I said satisfied. All right? If you want more, and you should want more, then that's contentment. You obviously shouldn't be content with where you are, but you are satisfied, meaning you're thankful for where you have. You're thankful for where you are, what you have. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the second thing is how you give more. Okay, the first is to focus entirely on the other person who's speaking. All right, and let them speak. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what they're talking about. Let them speak because people love talking about themselves. All right, that's the first step. Second step is when you're listening, ask them and guide them. All right, so you're asking the questions to control the conversation. Talk about family, occupation, and recreation. And then the third part is while you're listening to that family, occupation, and recreation, because it's going to take intense focus. It really does. It takes intense focus to listen to somebody and give them encouragement, especially if you just met them, especially if you've known them for 2 minutes, and yet you're still able to give them encouragement. Wow, look at where you're going to go. Look at where you're going to go. My goodness, when you get to that point, sky is not even close to the limit. Sky is not even the limit. God's just going to start raining down. Why? Because every single person you meet is going to want to be around you. And again, that's why the Bible talks about the rich have many friends. This is why, because they want to be around rich people, not just for their money, but because of their wisdom and because of their encouragement. Most people who are rich, right, and they did it by building up other people. Most people got rich by building up other people in some way, shape, or form. It's not just the products and services that they built, all right? That's why. It's encouragement. So we look for their strengths and their interests and their goals, okay? Strengths, interests, and goals. That's what we look for when they're speaking. Okay. Oh, he just talked about how, he likes climbing the tops of the mountains when he goes outside, when he goes to the outdoors. Guess what? That's an adventurous spirit. Wow. That's great. That's a great adventurous spirit you have in you. Okay. He doesn't know that. Maybe he doesn't know that. All right. Again, people don't know what they don't know, especially their strengths, especially when all day long people are getting discouragement. They're getting discouragement from all the media that they're watching. All right. How many people... All right, just go to your favorite social media site, whatever it is, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it is. Just think about this for a second. When you read through your feed, on whatever platform you have, how many of it is positive? How much of it is positive? Very little. And that's what most people are being programmed with, is things that are not positive. And so when people don't think about positive, they think, okay, I'm stuck. The world's going to end. I got to stay in the same job. My business isn't going to grow. It's just going to be the same revenue like it's been the past 3 years. And it's just going to be that way all day long. No, and no. When you see encouragement and people think, wow, I have this strength that I didn't know I had. Oh my goodness, I can use this to push forward. Guess what? That's going to get people going. And when they start seeing, okay, man, what was the turning point that tripled my business over the past 12 months? What was the turning point? And they point to you? Oh my goodness. What do you think is going to happen to your life? Boom, blow up and go forward and increase exactly what the Lord has for you. All right. That's why encouragement is so much more important than giving finances. All right. It's so much more important than giving finances. It is. That's why we're talking about this first. Yes. In this series, we're going to talk about the types of giving and the blessings that come from that. We are. But before you do that, you have to be happy and you have to be an encouragement magnet. An encouragement magnet. That way people are going to want to be around you. They are. They're going to want to be around you. All right. That's why this is so important. So what I would encourage you to do is this. If you've never focused on this ever before, you're likely not going to be able to do steps 1, 2, and 3, listening, form, and sign. You're not going to be able to do that right off the bat. So what I want you to focus on is this. The next 3 people that you speak to, no matter who they are, just listen. Don't focus on anything else. It's very easy to see the bunny trails, especially when they're talking about something you're not interested in. It's very easy for you to go on the bunny rabbit trail in your mind if you're not interested in A, what the person is talking about, or B, the person in general. Okay? Because a lot of you may think the only reason you would listen to somebody is if you can get something out of them. That's the wrong way to think about this. You listen to people, especially those that you can't get something out of. Because when you do that, what are you sowing? Think about what you're sowing. You're sowing belief and encouragement into complete strangers. So what's going to come back to you? Encouragement and belief. That's why we do that. All right? And of course, encouragement and belief is going to help you increase, which means more money. It does. That's why all this stuff that we just seemingly circle around to, it all comes back to the same thing. All right? So that's what I want you to focus on today. All right? Whenever you're watching, the next 3 people that you speak to, listen and focus on them and them alone. And try to think, okay, what is the strength that I'm seeing based on what they're speaking to me that they didn't know they had? Just think about that. That's all I want you to focus on today. Number 1, next 3 people. Listen and focus. Don't say much, just focus. Focus on the words that are coming out of their mouth. Focus on the tone. Focus on their body language. All right, these are all listening skills. It's not just listening to the words. It's listening to their body. Because a lot of what people are saying is actually their body language. If they're slumped over, that means that they're not feeling very good today. They don't really like what they're saying. All right, and they don't really want to. Now, again, putting physical injuries aside, if that's their body language, all right? If they're, I don't know, if they're looking around all the time, all right? They're obviously not interested in what they're saying, okay? You can tell based on the tone of their voice, the volume of their voice, their body language, all that stuff. That's all your listening skills. Those are all listening skills. And if you do that, just the next 3 people, just focus on the listening. And if you can take the next step, try to find one strength based on what they spoke to you that you could then speak back to themselves. Okay, one strength that you can focus on to give them back to themselves. So that's your homework for today. As soon as you see this, I want you to watch this over and over and over again until you get it right. Until you get it right. All right, that's what I want you to focus on today. All right, that's our broadcast for today. Thank you so much for being here, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Take care, everybody.